You to look into frame, Jenny, to start with, so we have your name, so that we can, obviously I'll be able to identify you, but it's just good if we start.
Just talk and say.
So you just, so are we ready?
Yes, it's wrong.
Okay.
Ginny Beaumont I live in Bexhill.
Great. Jenny, you can talk to me if you like. All right,
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Ginny, we're going to just talk about your love, your passion, your absolute passion for dancing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, when did it start? Because you haven't, no, just because.
I have my shoes. These are my dance shoes, very first dance shoes that I bought. And when I bought them, I thought, at last I'm a dancer now, because I've got my dance shoes. So I started dancing when 1996, never danced before, so, and it's always been my passion as a child, and so I've always been dancing since then.
Okay, if you loved dancing as a child, then what took you so long to really put the shoes on?
There's never an opportunity. When I was younger, my parents couldn't afford to send me to dance school. My aunt was a ballet dancer, so I was always inspired by her and said, well, she's done it, why can't I? And but didn't make any difference. But it came out somewhere along the line in 1996.
And you can't remember just like the particular moment when you decided that's the dance shop, I'm going in there?
No, the dance, it was just a friend that introduced me to, well, it was jiving really.
It was, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't tango. But I do remember one incident when I lived in the country and I had one of these record players and I took it into the field and I had some classical music and I just danced. I just danced. But there's a story to that because at the end of it I was stung by a bee.
But that was like it, wasn't it? You were stung. You really were.
Yes. So it was. So went to the hospital. My foot came up, but it was a total wake-up call.
Yes. So this is it. I've got to do this.
Yeah. So that's it, really. So,
do you remember the piece of music you danced to in that field? Have you any idea?
I think it was Tchaikovsky. It was
lush.
Yeah, it was, and there was nobody watching. It was, and I was just, on my own.
When I watch you dance, because I have seen you dance tango, it does look as if you're almost in a space where nobody's watching.
Yes.
You seem
totally centred and totally otherworldly in a way. Yeah.
So tango came a bit later.
Yes, about 7-8 years now. So I've been doing that, and it was a progression, really.
Does it make a difference who you dance with, tango particularly?
Yes, if you dance with someone who is, and you have a connection with, then it can be amazing. Doesn't matter what he looks like, doesn't matter how tall or short he is, it's just really amazing experience.
So it's a communication then, is it?
Yes, definitely a communication, yes. And totally centred, sort of in a different space, different world.
And you started to dance in other countries?
Yes, went to Granada and had tango lessons there, Went to, just come back from Lisbon a few weeks ago, and there was a tango festival. So we danced there a lot, and we danced in a castle, al fresco. That was the most lovely.
You just said it makes a difference who you dance with. So have you ever noticed anybody on the floor and you thought, I would like to dance with that person, and then felt very complimented that they came and asked you? Have you ever had an encounter like that?
Yes, I think so, yes. In tango it's different because you have to wait for the man to ask you. You can't go up and, even if you see a man, you think, oh, I'd really love to dance with him. It's a no-no to ask him, and you think, oh, please ask me to dance. And sometimes it never happens because they have their favourites.
But it has happened.
Yeah, yes, and it doesn't always happen that you see a dancer and he's fantastic, that you have that same connection. So it's a lot to do with chemistry.
Okay, so it's a very personal
Yes.
thing. You haven't been to, Buenos Aires would be the...
That's the next step. That's the next one. Yes. There was an opportunity to go in this August, but we decided it was a bit too expensive.
Because that's like the mecca of tango.
Yes. So it's where we're eventually going to go and dance tango. But there's tango all over the world. Some places better than others.
There's a reason where they go in them, and it's when you start your journey, do you know what you're leaving or why you're leaving it, and do you know what you're going towards? So when you started dancing, do you know what it was that you left behind when you started that journey? A bit of yourself or something that you've been previously identified with?
Yeah, so I feel like I've left a shadow of myself behind. And going on to get better and better and more perfect. But I doubt if I'll get more perfect because it's a never-ending journey. And there'll always be something that you'll aim for.
That's just great. That's been marvellous. There have been a couple of people who've come in and talked about journeys which you feel are really an essential part of their lives, and that feels like that talking to you. And yesterday we had a runner in.
Yes.
And he runs because he has to.
Yeah.
It's just great.
It's amazing, different people's sort of ambitions.
Yes, and where they do feel they live somehow. Yes, it feels like home or something.
Yes, that's right. So
you've given us some great descriptions, and that's fabulous. Thank you, Ginny, so much for that. I don't know if there's anybody else has felt like, just think, I'd like to hear more about that.
Perhaps why you went to tango, because you did a lot of jiving, and a bit of salsa and other forms of dancing. So what really made you, start or develop this desire to do tango?
Yes, well, I love the just the passion of it, and just it's so there's something about it, the connection with people.
The music. Did the music?
Oh, the music is part of it. It just goes into me, and I have to interpret the music. I really do, and I've got to mention that. Yes, big part of it. So the music I love, and jiving was. I reached a stage where I thought, a bit boring now. I'd like to have something that's a bit more challenging. And as I love tango, that was my next challenge.
You look like tango. There's something, doesn't she? There is. You look it.
embodiment of tango.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's a journey. It's still carrying on, which is lovely.
Fantastic. Your dog doesn't look like tango, by the way.
He doesn't. He sort of gets a bit, thinks, oh, off we go again. Don't you?
He puts up with it.
He does.
Good. Okay. Well, I think that's great, Ginny. Thank you so much. Just bloody
thank
brilliant.
you.
Could you dance with a ghost partner?
I could.
Just for this.
Okay, but before we do that, I have to change the lights.